This Carla. I'm your ally in calculated change. I am going to be really real and vulnerable with you this morning. I have felt like a punching bag with life lately. It seems like at every turn I have something that slaps me in the face. And it's been really, really hard. It's taken a toll on me emotionally. And even a little bit physically. But I just want to share with you how amazing it's been to be able to take a completely different approach to my reaction. You know, the old me, definitely 7 years ago, and way past that, but especially in the last year and a half, I've progressed. But let me go back to that 7 years and back before that. So it used to be that when life hit me in the face or punched me in the gut, I went down. I went down hard. I went down all the way to the floor. I went down in a hole. It sucked the life out of me. It knocked the breath out of me. And I didn't have any desire to get back up. I wallowed in my mess on the floor. I slipped into victim mode. And I was willing to tell anybody who would listen how difficult my life was. Not really see it as victim mode at the time, but it definitely was victim mode. I didn't know how to pick myself up, but I had no desire to figure out how to pick myself up. I felt picked on. I felt cheated. I felt angry because so many other people around me seemed like they just had it all so good. And I just felt like I kept getting sucker punch after sucker punch after sucker punch. I've talked a lot about things that have happened to me in the past 7 years. Some of you have detail. Some of you don't. I don't feel like this is a place for me to be able to air all my details with all the stuff that's happened to me. It's more of a place that I go with people who are close to me, that I know can be a support to me. So I'm just going to leave it at, life has handed me some pretty severe blows, but I know, and I'm willing to say out loud, that I'm not the only one. I know that. And believe it or not, knowing that I'm not alone, that I'm not the only one, really does a lot for me. They may to acknowledge that and say it out loud. I'm not alone. That takes a victim mode right out of me. I am not alone. Because I know you, my friend, have had some pretty difficult things that you've dealt with, even if you've never shared them with me. I know you've had rough stuff that has happened to you. Because that's what happens. That's what life is about. That's what helps us to learn and grow and become better and stronger. It's just like that little chick trying to break out of the shell. I've had the privilege of seeing that happen once in my life. And to see the struggle and how exhausted that little chick was once it finally broke its way out. It just laid there like it was never going to be able to survive, never going to be able to make a comeback from all of that hard work. And yet I know that didn't take long. And because of all that little chick went through, it was so much stronger. And before long, it was all dry and fluffy and cute and peeping and chirping, or whatever you want to call it, all over the place, scurrying around, investigating this and that, looking for food, looking for playmates. The vitality of life actually came into that chick. So that's where I'm at. I'm not quite to the vitality kicking in with this last round. I actually am that little chick who's laying there all wet and tired and panting and looking like life's finally going to take me out. But I'm here to tell you that's where my self-care kicks into high gear. That's where I have to cut myself some slack. That's where I have to conserve my energy. That's where I have to make sure that I go out and get some exercise. I know that seems contradictory. Conserve your energy and get some exercise. But it's that exercise that's what's like pecking away at that shell that's going to help me be stronger. I can guarantee you when the chick is pecking away at the shell that it's not pecking with all of its force, going high speed during the whole thing. I'll bet there are times when I had to take a break and it could barely, like, one little tiny peck in a minute or two. But it never gave up. And eventually it did get more strength than it had during the pecking. So my friend, I don't want you to give up. I'm not going to give up. When emotionally wearing things happen to us, they affect us physically. They affect us spiritually. But we can't give up. We just have to slow it down. We have to conserve our energy. But we have to be putting forth some energy and effort. Like that pecking. Like we have to get the exercise. We have to get out of bed. We have to get something to eat. We have to be drinking water. We have to be keeping our minds busy. We have to be keeping our hands busy. We have to be putting forth the effort to keep ourselves going while conserving our energy. That, my friend, is how you get through a really difficult, hard thing. Some things take a few days. Some things take a month. Sometimes things might take 6 months or a year. But you don't give up. You don't call it quits. If you're suffering with depression, whether it's clinical or situational, you don't lay down and die. You don't take your life. You don't come across to yourself and to other people in the mindset that the world would be so much better without you. And I'm not making light. I know that's a real thing. I'm not making light of it. I've been there. I've had those suicidal thoughts and feelings so constantly that they almost drove me to do the unthinkable. But I went and sought help. And I kept seeking help until I was able to pull my way through. And when the hard times come, I go back and get more help. Professional help. Spiritual help. Friend help. Family help. Self-help. You just keep taking it one day at a time. So when you get the sucker punch, don't lay down. You might get knocked down. You might very well get knocked down. And it might take you a little bit to get up. You might have to roll over on your side and then make it to your hands and knees. And then maybe on your knees. And then perhaps you got to stand up with the help of being able to hang on to something, and you got to stay there and hang on to it. And then perhaps you can walk a little bit while you're hanging on to that thing. And then you can walk slow. And then you can walk a little bit faster. And eventually you can pick up your speed until you're really moving. And then you can run. And when you can run, you can smile. And life will be good again. It'll come. I promise you. I know from personal experience.